director, you don't have a early warning detection of when the transformer is unhealthy? And he looks at me square in my face and says, son, if you had a little black box that did that, I'll buy hundreds of thousands of them.
Wow.
So challenge accepted.
Right? Another challenge. Okay. Welcome to part 2 of my exclusive interview with Dr. Lael Alexander. Dr. Alexander shares with us his amazing growth as a project manager to a problem-solving consultant to a strategic genius and world-changing inventor.
Until this one day where the ex head of Texaco Refining had heard stories of this young black guy and his tech company that was running around these refineries on segways and putting reports out that was predicting things that was saving these refineries millions. And he just had to come and visit with me. At the time, I was doing things that AI computing is doing for companies today. I was the human telemetry because we looked at all of the refineries differently. We looked at every component, every person, the humidity, the environment, everything that would constitute a variable. We would put a factor on those things, and they enjoyed that. In any case, the guy came to visit with me. His name is Coleman Ferguson, and out of the blue, the guys told me that this older guy wanted to have a conversation with me. So he meets me. He drives up on the property with his Lincoln Town Car, older white guy, and and he says, "Hey, son, I've been hearing a lot about you, a lot of good things, but I'm kind of wondering what's stopping you from going into the big leagues." I said, "The big leagues?" He says, "Yeah, Texas, where the big refineries are. I see you doing these little things in Louisiana, but what's stopping you from getting to Texas? A little gas money?" And so you got to understand, I'm a Louisiana kid, and we're not used to having people just pull our coat like that, right? So, an older white guy telling me that, or propping up that the only thing that stopped me from coming to Texas is a little gas money, kind of got me a little bit. So my response to him was, "Excuse me, sir, respectfully, when you pulled up on this refinery project, you drove past that big parking lot, right?" He says, "Yes, of course." I said, "You saw a lot of Fords and Chevy trucks out there, right?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, sir, I drove up in a Porsche. I don't need your gas money."
Okay.
So so I was offended, and and he realized I was offended. So he says, "No, I didn't mean that. No, I'm retiring from Texaco. My gas money is my retirement fund, and I was wondering if you would accept an investment to help you grow your business."
Mm-hmm.
And that's another lesson
Wow.
because I wasn't looking for that. I didn't even know that what I was doing was considered small business. I was actually satisfied with what I was doing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
When sometimes other people can actually see your horizon far better than you because they got better perspective. You're in the middle of it, right? They're on the outside, and they're
Yes.
seeing the potential, and you're like, all right. But if you're like I was, always looking to do something new, you take you take every opportunity, and I did. So uh, I told the guys, I said, hey, this old guy wants us to come to Port Arthur, Texas, Beaumont area. Uh,
Mhm.
I need you guys to pack up this weekend, and we're gonna go over there to see what they're talking about. So sure enough, I got my crew together. I used to travel with a crew of 9 guys. We did everything together. That was my first company called Premark. Plan, resource, execute, monitor, audit, report, control. We did project management for all these refineries.
Wow.
And when we got to Beaumont, it was like the Republican convention. It was
Okay.
like the Republican National Convention. I kid you not. We we go we go into Port Arthur, into one of the big, large gymnasium, and there's picnic tables with the red and white checkerboards on it. I mean, literally, it's Republican, right? so so we're the only African Americans in the room besides the mayor, Mayor Bobby, female mayor.
Wow.
Yeah. And I hear this little screeching voice from the back of the gymnasium saying, Mayor Bobby, here he is. Here's the guy that's going to save your city. Now, understand, we're a project management company, and this is going to get to this fast because I know that you want to ask some other questions, but this is the journey that started it all. I met Mayor Bobby by Coleman Ferguson introducing us that day,
Mhm.
and I didn't realize that he, in that short time visiting me at Shreveport Refinery, at Calumet Refinery, had saw that I could have been used as a forensic expert in assisting Mayor Bobby in negotiating her tax abatements with ExxonMobil because they were about to build the largest expansion of their refinery ever.
Wow. Okay.
And that's
Wow.
what I did. So all of a sudden, I wasn't a project management anymore. I was a consultant. Got them $430 million out of that negotiation. It continued on. The refinery worlds, the engineering worlds, municipalities. Seems like every major entity that had critical cycles or major problems, they sought me out, and me and my little team went to hear the problem and create a solution. And that's how it got started. I wasn't an inventor back then. I was literally just equipped with the right knowledge to answer the correct answers to certain problems that other people had major issues with, right?
Yes. And I hear through that story you're someone who can be challenged and then will accept the challenge.
Accept it every time. Every time. My today, and not to fast forward too fast, but my kids a couple of years ago, they looked around and they said, hey mom, what do we get dad? He's got everything. We can't get him anything. He's got the boat, the car, the jet, the whatever,
Mm.
right? And they finally came to me as I was sitting down, and I'm listening to them try to figure out what they're going to buy me for Christmas. And I told one of them, says, hey dad, what do we get you?
Mhm.
What do we give to a person that's got everything? And I tell them, give me your problem.
Wow. Wow.
And it's stuck because that's what it's always been. You know, uh, you know, very seldom do we live life and find our purpose so soon in life. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And I think that's one of the greatest gifts that God has given me. Outside of seeing my parents do what they did and being parents and growing my family. I have 6 girls, 2 boys. I got a pretty big family. outside of all those things, the other gifts that God has given was the ability to take notice and see where you fit, uh, what part of the equation um, you're. Well, for the most part, I felt like I was centered in the equation.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't really a problem. It was just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So from there, that's how I moved from Louisiana to Texas. And while I was in Texas doing all this consulting work, um, the name gets around. And I don't know if you're familiar with the OTC. It's an offshore convention for oil and gas trailing, oil and gas trading, and the NPRA and the Independent Refinery Association and people from Nigeria and everyone would come into Houston, Texas, because that's where my company was based. And when they came in, um, a lot of the projects that I was doing was kind of the talk of the town because during the year 2004, 5, 6, people weren't talking about building small power plants.
Mm-hmm.
Like today, you would hear guys like Elon talk about a power plant today, but Lael Alexander was building power plants 2005, 2006, and I was doing it at a scale of 150 megawatts in Nigeria.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So um, when when these people saw some of the things that we were doing, it literally made us the rock stars of the power and utility industry. Um, I think that was around the time that Obama became. No. It was right before Obama. It was
Mm-hmm.
right before Obama. Because during the time that I had just came back from Nigeria, I had taken Siemens to Nigeria for the first time in their company's history, and we
Mm-hmm.
built for Aliko Dangote Industries, 150 megawatt power plant.
Wow.
And believe it or not, when I look back in my history, I look at those bookmarks because that bookmark of building that level of infrastructure fueled the largest cement factory of the country. It
Wow.
was the biggest power plant in the country at that time, and it literally jump-started the economy in Nigeria, right? So then we leave there and we go to the Caribbean, and during those years, 2006, 7, and 8, um, they weren't AWA systems. That's the early warning systems for the aircrafts as they're flying into the islands.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the pilots that would fly into Trinidad or the CARICOM, they had to be fighter pilots because they had to fly by uh, their their experience because they didn't have any weather buoys or AWA systems at the airports back then. So we installed all of those early warning systems, saved a lot of people, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, and and then it took me to California.
Mm-hmm.
So around 2008, California was having rolling blackouts and brownouts.
I remember that. Yes, sir. I do remember that. Yeah.
And and the director of LADWP and Con Edison brought my company in. At the time, I owned Smart Grid Systems and Tidewind Energy. I was building power plants at that time. And their goal was to have me build these small power plants all across the California grid
Mm-hmm.
because I had just deregulated energy in the state of Texas. And when I say things like that, is really a lot behind that because I literally co-authored the bill that was legislated in Texas to deregulate energy to allow private companies to build small power generations on a distributed network. Because prior
Okay.
to me doing that, um, all power plants were built in this singular complex and then wired to the big cities instead of having multiple points of failure. So when LADWP contacted me. That's what they were looking at because they were, going through these brownouts. When I got there, in the middle of the meeting, a technician walked in and says, "Sir, I'm sorry. I know that you guys are in a meeting, but we have these blackouts happening all across the grid. Transformers are blowing up, and we don't know where the transformers are until someone calls us and tells us where they are."
Wow.
Now, this was so ironic that I'm sitting in the room because here I've had experience in the military that we had to track everything. I went to the energy sector with Entergy in Louisiana, had to track everything. Oil and gas and the chemical industries, we didn't wait for things to blow up. We had to monitor it to make sure it didn't blow up, right? So the fact that I'm sitting in this room listening to the technician give this synopsis, and I'm like, director, you don't have a early warning detection of when the transformer is unhealthy? And he looks at me square in my face and says, "Son, if you had a little black box that did that, I'll buy hundreds of thousands of them."
Wow.
So challenge accepted.
Right. Another challenge. Okay.
I asked him right there to do a pilot for us to go ahead and create what would become the first unattended monitoring device. I had Singular Wireless become my partner, and Sierra Wireless created a modem that I could use in my sensor. And by that time, AT&T was buying Singular, so it was an AT&T SIM card. And we would put out a little unattended monitoring device on every pole top transformers to monitor the health of the transformers. And it would just batch a little message to let them know I'm healthy, I'm not healthy, so that they would at least know, right?
Right.
Well, in the middle of doing this, AT&T was coming back and reporting that we weren't using any of the frequencies that their SIM cards were supposed to give our boxes. And we didn't understand this part because I'm not a telecom person. I'm an engineer, right? So I said, "Hey, you guys gave us a SIM card. We put it in the box. This data is real. And you're saying that it's not picking up?" He says, "Well, we're operating on 2100 megahertz, and there's nothing about your box that's using 2100 megahertz." And that's when my eureka moment happened. I said, "Well, maybe we're not using your frequency. Maybe my boxes are creating the frequency."
Wow.
Yeah, that became the discovery of what you call Wi-Fi.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, the story was a long one, but it had to get to that, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah, that pole top transformer monitor
Mm,
was using 2.4 gigahertz, creating its own network off the ohms of the power line. It created its own Wi-Fi, quote unquote, network.
okay.
So that was the first time machines talked to machines. That was my
Wow.
project for LADWP. A year and a half later, um, you knew it as Wi-Fi.
Wow.
During that same project, we were building a tablet device that would monitor those frequencies. And instead of capturing the data from those transformers, it started mirroring the power on screens of our devices, which was another eureka moment because this is the year 2009, and smartphones are becoming a thing. And I'm like, well, perhaps this this glitch in my utility device could actually be used in the mobile hemisphere. So I turned over all of the duties of the smart grid systems to a guy named Kenny Matthews, still in California, and I I went all in on trying to figure out how I can tune my loop connectivity. That's what I called it back then. So that it can work on phones, tablets, and TVs.
Wow.
And that's what later became known as Miracast and screen sharing and streaming and everything else that connects mobile devices. So again, this wasn't a business plan that brought me to that. This was just accepting the challenge that allowed me to be everything that God made me to be, you know?
Yes. And the innovator, that's the innovation piece of it. That's pretty
Amen.
amazing.
Amen.
Pretty amazing.
Amen.
So tell us how you got to China. There you did some
So
amazing things in China, I'm told.
so so Miracast became a very big thing. At first, people didn't know how to handle it because you got to remember, 2009, there was no such thing as firewalls on wireless devices. Nokia, BlackBerry was the leading cell phones, and iPhone was just coming about, right? So the fact that I had a technology that was transcending the device era
Mhm.
uh, was was a big deal. So they invited me to the Consumer Electronic Trade Show, and I had never been to a electronic or technology trade show as an adult, but I I would always remember 1984 World's Fair. It came to New Orleans and it changed my life because it made me want to become an engineer or an inventor, right? I saw GE, I saw all of the companies that would tell us what tomorrow's future was going to be, from the microwave to the CD-ROM to the VCR. And the World's Fair was in New Orleans that year, so
Mhm.
um, it really planted a seed of curiosity. So here I am, fast forward 20 years, I'm now being invited to a show like that
Mhm.
to show off my technology. So
Wow.
I take them up. I go to Vegas for the first time and I had the smallest booth. I had a 10 by 15 booth in the convention center, you know, the Las Vegas Convention Center, where others had 50 by 50 booths. Like this is the equivalent, this is the equivalent to cities, you know what I mean? There it was colossal presentations. And I had something that was um, equivalent to a tabletop demonstration. However, big things come in small packages.
Yes, sir.
So when I demonstrated, I had 7 screens on my booth, right? 7 little monitors and TVs and tablets, and I had my one phone. And it's 9:30, so I turned it on just to test it. And all of these people that had these large, expensive booths, they also had screens, TV monitors, and things on their booths, right? So when I turned on my screen to share my screen to my booth, it shared my screen to every screen in the hall.
Wow. You just took over the place. Okay.
Yes. And that's what became CES Disrupt,
Wow.
literally.
Wow.
Everyone was marveled by the power of this technology because they had heard about it, but they had never seen it, right?
Mhm.
And at the time, I could do anything. So I had my camera on my phone, so I'm showing my face on every screen. It's crazy. It's crazy, and I was using an HTC phone back then too. So it's like it was amazing. So of course, the show the show managers traced me down, came to my booth, said, "Kid, I'm sorry, you got to turn this off." I'm like, "Well, this is the technology that you guys wanted me to show." And he's like, "Well, we have to figure this out because we need a Faraday cage because you're disrupting everyone's exhibit."
Wow.
I
Oh
said,
my God.
"Well, this is the only tech that I'm here to show. So where do I show it?" So they create a Faraday cage on the bottom of South Hall. And they tell me that I can only do my presentation every 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
So you should have seen it. It was like Tiger Woods coming down the back nine. One little black guy and hundreds of white folks following him to the to the demonstration to understand what is this kid doing.
Wow.
And when I left that show, I had offers from everyone.
Mm-hmm.
HP, Cisco, Dell, what have you. All those offers came with a job.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I told you earlier, my story didn't go like that. I didn't think I got that far to get a job.
Right.
So I turned all of those offers down. And CIC, China Investment Corporation, had just finished dealings with Obama, where they purchased 30% of America's debt.
Wow.
Yeah, this is bookmarks. I mean, this is historic. The same company that purchased 30% of America's debt purchased me.
Okay.
And took me to China.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the same year.
Wow. I hope you enjoyed the continuing journey of Dr. Lael Alexander, aka the Wizard. Join me for part 3 of my exclusive interview with Dr. Alexander, where he continues to share his journey to China and beyond.